All right, guys, welcome to One Off Outdoors. This video is going to have 3 sections to it. In the first section, I'm going to show you how to remove the front plastic nose shield from your ski so that you can get access to all your electronics and where you're going to be running your wires through your hole. So in the first section, I'm going to show you how to run your main wire from there that will go into your trolling motor receptacle through your ski and then out the opening where your ski pole goes, up through there, and then run it into your battery. Okay. The second part is going to be actually putting the receptacle onto the ski and then tying it into that main line. Then the third section is going to be your sensor puck running the wire through that shield and then through the hole of your ski and tying it in to your starter battery. Now, in this video, you're going to see me working on 2 different skis. I'll be running the main line and the sensor line through a new ski that I've got. My old ski already has that done, but my old ski now has to have the new receptacle. So you're going to see the receptacle put on my 21 model. You're going to see the main line and the sensor line run through my 24 model. All right, guys, enjoy the video. As always, on all my installation videos, I strongly suggest that you watch it all the way to the end and then go back and on the second time actually start your installation. All right, let's get started. All right, now to take this shield off, there are 2 5/16 hex head screws, stainless steel screws on the sides right here. There's one and the other's right here. You're going to remove those. And then you're going to grab this shield here and here, and you're just going to pull it straight forward. There's 2 clips that are underneath here that are slotted. And so when you pull those slots, just pull straight away. So you don't twist or turn. It's just a small pull straight ahead. It'll slide forward about 1.5 inches, and you'll be good. Go. Okay, so whenever I show a video and I'm taking stuff off, I like to really show what the tabs look like because they're all so different. So these are these little button tabs, and these 2 slots right here and here just simply slide right over those, just like that, okay? So when you pull this forward, that's all you're doing. You're just sliding that forward. Now you've got all, let me set this down over here. You've got all these electrical harnesses right here that are going to be in your way a little bit. So you're going to slide that forward, then you're going to turn it, and then you're going to slide it on out. This Revolution mount will not be in your way. Okay, so I go to Harbor Freight to buy a lot of my tools, especially something like this. This is a snake that you can run electrical wires through. Now this is super, super important. The end of this wire has a hook in it. If you don't tape this up, when you run this through, you're going to hang all these other wires or you're never going to get it loose. Now, what you're going to have to do to run this electrical wire is these 2 corrugated pipes that you see here. The one over here on the left, when you're standing at the nose, actually comes out on the right side. The one on the right over here, actually, they cross, and it comes out over there on the other side. I went ahead and I ran this down this is where your steering cable goes. I ran this down this side because there's a lot of wires in this other one, and I've got more space. But in order to run that wire through there, you have to run your snake through there first. So you run your snake through, and it's going to come out over on this side. You'll have to get your eyeballs and a flashlight and look up in there. I actually then had to get a secondary wire to reach in and grab it and fish it out. Now, if you'll look, I went ahead and I took that wire, and I ran it back across to this side. And then down the side, and it comes out my ski pole hole, okay? Now, the reason I didn't keep it down this side is over here, this is where all your exhaust is, and this is a really hot area, and I didn't want that wire anywhere near it, okay? So, once you run your your fishing wire through here, you'll tape off with some duct tape, use good duct tape, and tape off your electrical wire. And then you'll pull it all the way back through, and that will pull out, and this is how you get this out here. Then you take this end, run it across, get it underneath everything. Then you've got to run another wire, just like a short wire. I had some barbed wire that I used. Run that through here, and it'll come out here. Tape that on, and then pull it, and you get all your extra right here. Now, I bought a 20-foot length, and this is 6-gauge wire, okay? And you're gonna use all 20 feet. You wanna leave some of this extra down below, and then have enough room to come out here and tie into your battery box. What I did is I cut a piece of my wire off, put a micrometer on it. It's about 3/8 thick, so I got a 3/8 drill. Went ahead and drilled my first hole, set that down, and drew a pencil line around it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my Dremel, and again, this is that, what they call a grout removal bit. It's got these little metal studs on it. Just works great for stuff like this. I'm gonna router this out to where that comes through, and it's a nice snug fit. Okay, so I use my Dremel tool. I got this little piece, you can see, nice and snug. I'll put a little bit of caulking on the inside down here once I get everything ready. But if you don't own one of these Dremel tools, now you got to buy that one at Lowe's. You can't get it at Harbor Freight. But if you'll get you one of these, and that little grout removal bit, I use it on everything. It's just so handy, and you got so much control over it. All right. Okay, guys, so today, this is a quick, easy install of your plug-in and receptacle. Your receptacle is going to go onto the apron. Now, other people have put it here on the gray shield, or here on your nose cone right here that's removable. Both those places are fine. I'm going to do the apron because this, to me, is the driest environment. This is where all your other electronical components are, and so it's built for that. The receptacle is going to go here. The wires are going to feed in, tie in right through here, go down through the ski, and come back out at my battery. Now, on this initial setup, what I've done, there's some measurements. Now, if you've got the trophy, this is a 21 trophy. It's just the newer models, 22 and up. The blue started being the sport. And I'm not sure if the new sports right now, like the new trophies, they have the 170 written right here that shows the horsepower. So if you have that 170, you can use the end of that 0 to actually be all your marker that I did here. But if you don't have that emblem right here, that sticker, then this is what you're doing. You're gonna go off the edge of the mirror, and you're gonna come over 3 3/4 of an inch, and that's where I put my tape. So that's the edge. Then I come down this etching that you see right here, this pattern. All right, it starts right up here, and you're gonna come down 1/4 of an inch. Now these measurements help you place the cover. So this cover, the top of the cover is gonna be 1/4 inch down from the etching, and it's gonna be 3 3/4 of an inch from the edge. So once you get that set, you can put down your strip of tape and measure over 3 3/4 of an inch over and 1/4 inch down. Then you're gonna take a marker, you're gonna mark all 4 holes and your big center hole, right? Just like that. And that's gonna tell you where you're gonna cut out for your receptacle. This is a 1 3/4 inch. Okay, something to be mindful of. When we're drawing all these lines and getting this put together, staying this 1/4 inch off of this ridge up here where it's has this pattern is very important. If you get lower than that, see this tab? This tab mount is about 1/4 inch below where your hole is. It's about right in here. If you lower this down, this hole, and you put it kind of say like dead center, what will happen is you'll cut into that tab bracing and you'll run that tab. So staying over the correct amount, 3 3/4 of an inch, is where the edge of your shield goes. Remember, that's the edge of your shield is 3 3/4 of an inch. And then the top of your shield up here is the 1/4 inch, okay? You don't want to go lower than that, and you don't want to go deeper than that. This is where the most room. This is a 1 3/4 inch hole saw. I bought this a long time ago when I was putting doorknobs in. You can buy these. You don't have to buy the whole big expensive kit. You can get these at like a Harbor Freight. They'll last forever, especially with what you're doing with it. But this is going to cut that 1 3/4 inch hole easily and perfectly. Now the next thing you have to do is just find the center of your hole and put your mark. And then this saw right here, this drill bit, it actually has like a regular drill bit on the end. So you're going to put that right on your dot, and that's going to keep you on center. When you drill this out, just go real slow, turn it real slow so that it just gradually cuts through there. You don't have to put a lot of pressure. All right, so maybe you can see this. Again, you just slight pressure and it goes right through. And just like that. You don't want to go real hard. You can see pretty close. When you trace your hole, your traced hole is always going to be a little bit larger. So you're trying to find that happy medium right in between. And then let's see how this fits. It's pretty darn close. Really, really good. All right, so something I want to illustrate to you guys is just how this goes on, okay? So you've got a slot right up here at the top, and that is so your plug goes straight up and down. This is what locks that in. It goes on there. That's what's going to hold that in place. Now for me, what I'm doing with mine is I'm turning this, instead of at the 12 o'clock position, it's going to be at the 3 o'clock position, just like that. This will still be just like I always had it, but it's going to be at the 3 o'clock position. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I want my plug, here's my plug, I want my plug running just like this. Okay, let me get this off my hat where I can make sure we get a good shot at it. I want my plug running down my ski just like you see here. And the reason is if I loop down through here, then I run the risk of when I open my canopy for this cable to get stuck underneath my lid. This way, if it runs across my mirror and across my top and right in my trolling motor, it's out of the way. I can make it pretty short. You want to leave a little bit of loop so that when this opens and closes, you've got slack. For me, I take my trolling motor off all the time. When I'm driving down, we live on old rough roads. We're way out here in the country. So I always take my trolling motor off when I go down rough terrain. Because of that, I can't have my cord running down my bumper or being tied off to something, kind of like tied off to make it tidy. So my cord's going to run right across here. It'll loop down and go right in my trolling motor. Okay, now, when you run your receptacle in here, what you're going to see, and you won't be able to see in there, but it's a really small area. And what may happen is this plastic coating right here, this flex, may be a little long. And so what I'm going to do, and what I've done before, is I just take a pair of cutters like this. Let me put this on my hat. Maybe we can get a better look at it. All right. And I'm just going to cut through that insulation right there. I'm not going to hit my wires. I'm going to cut it right across here diagonally. Then over here, I cut it diagonally. Right across here. Okay. Right across there diagonally. Now what that does is that separates this little flex insulation. Then I can get a pair of needle nose pliers and just grab that, and that'll separate just like that. See how that separated? Now I can just slide that off. Just like that, comes off. This rubber is real stiff, so you don't have to cut real close to your wire. You can get there a little ways out, and then when you twist it, it'll just break. This rubber will break off. So don't feel like you got to get in here. You don't want to cut your wires. Now what that does is that gives me a lot more flexibility. I can bend this wire over. Remember, I'm keeping mine over here, my notch at the 3 o'clock position. And now that shortens that by removing that. And now that'll give me the space I need to run that down through there. And all you do is you just run this down through here like this. Let's see. Takes a little fishing. There we go. You look right down in here. Okay, it comes out. A few things to be mindful of. Whenever you go to put your screws in here, don't pre-drill. Let the screws drill themselves in. And again, make sure you stay level across the top. Again, also then, come in and get you plenty of dielectric grease on this, especially around the outside of this, because if it's just dry plastic, it's going to have a hard time sliding in and sliding out. You'll find that it'll slide in nice and easy, and then you can get it seated. You just take the nut and you just spin it and it'll tighten down just like that. There we go. Okay, so I've got this all taped off. I routed it underneath everything, and then I brought it back through this side, brought it through, and I made a little bit of space here. Took a razor blade, ran it through, made a little room right down here, made a little notch, drilled a hole, zip tied that in, brought it through here. So it's got a nice clean look. Okay, so what I wind up doing with this wire right here is, you've got all this bracing down here, is I drilled a hole through this piece back here, and I zip tied that down flush here. If you allow this to raise up or just be loose, when you put your shield across here, and then when this raises, which is going to be independent from your shield here, this wire right here will come up into your shield. So anchoring it down here, now when I raise this up, if you'll notice, see how this stays pulled in right here? So now when the shield comes across here, this wire won't be pushing up on it. Okay, so got my shield back on. Got a whole finger space in here where it's not touching. So little things like that, guys, they're gonna make the difference. They're gonna allow your canopy, you can see now, it's unobstructed, can open and close easily. And when this is down, you can see here, my cord runs over the top of my rear view mirror. Then it hangs right over in here. When I raise and close my canopy, you can see now it's well out of the way. No risk of it getting hung up in here. When I ran my receptacle this way, it would swing and get in, and mainly it'd get caught about right in here. But with this going over the top, now I don't have that issue. I left a little bit of that extra so that in case this connection goes bad and I have to re-splice this because of corrosion, then I've got some slack. So leave yourself about an extra foot of slack. That way you can come back later and do repairs if you need to. Okay, just a couple of things when you're running your sensor wire. You need to drill this hole out. This is a 5/32, and I always do it on this upslope right here, so that way when the water comes through, it's not settling. It's not settling here, but it's on this upslope. And I don't caulk it in or anything, but that 5/32 is pretty firm. You're not going to get any water in there to speak of. And then I always leave a couple of feet coiled up down this corrugated pipe. That way, if I've got to get in here and work on this, I've got some slack. I can take this lid off. I can set the lid over here to the side, sit up here on my steering column, and I've got enough slack. I've got enough play in my sensor. All right, another thing is you need to make sure you're gonna have to run your snake all the way through, tie a rope to it, tie a string to it, pull it back through. Now you got your string. Once you run your cord first through this, then you can tape your string off to your sensor wire and pull it all the way through, okay? If you forget to run it through your shield, then you got to start the process all over again. So go through your shield first, leave you 2 or 3 extra feet right here, and I would leave a couple extra feet, you know, back there by your battery, zip tied off, to make sure you've always just got plenty. All right, hope you enjoyed this install. Again, real easy. I chose, again, my canopy up here, my apron on it, just because this is such a dry environment. You've got to make some kind of modifications. You darn sure better make sure that you get all your measurements right, because you don't want to drop this too low and cut into your tab, okay? That's it. I hope this has been informative. I hope it's helped y'all out. If you have any questions or comments, be sure and leave them. All right, guys, y'all have a blessed day.